now to take a look at the morning papers. With us again, Afia Hagen and Thomas Copeland. Hello again to you both. Thomas, let's start with this. It's just a terrible story, isn't it? Shinzo Abe being gunned down in the street. Let's have a look at the Mirror, page 6. They've got it.
That's right. So Japan's longest serving prime minister. Some of the pictures are particularly eerie, the ones that you can see on the screen there. Abe is surrounded by security guards, but you can actually see the gunman in the back there. In the background of the picture, he used a homemade gun and apparently made no attempt to run afterwards. Gun violence is now so rare in Japan that it looks as if his security team simply were not expecting anything like this to occur on a very public political rally that Abe was talking at. Political assassinations used to be actually quite commonplace in Japan before the Second World War. The Tokyo correspondent Yu Fulton Bias wrote a piece called a book called Government by Assassination in the early 1940s after a slew of political assassinations in the 1920s and 30s. Since then and into the 21st century, very tight gun laws mean that this is a really, really rare occurrence, and so really stands out in terms of Japanese politics. Abe was a dominant figure. His legacy is an interesting one. You've seen tributes from a wide variety of political figures around the world. The Queen, obviously, but President Biden and former President Trump, Boris Johnson, David Cameron. He towed these lines in terms of working multilaterally across the globe very well. Great commitment to democracy, multilateralism, and a pride in his country that didn't always come without controversy. He had quite revisionist views on things like Korean comfort women, South Korean comfort women, and got into various difficulties in terms of revisionist views on Japan's role in the Second World War as well. So it'll be interesting to see going forward how his legacy will be impacted. He's been the dominant figure in Japanese politics. Will the methods, the way in which he has unfortunately left the world of politics and indeed the world itself impact upon that legacy remains to be seen.
Indeed. Okay, Afia, it is hot. It is so hot at the moment. It's going to get even hotter. The Telegraph, on the front page, they've got a warning for us.
Yes, they have. So this is a warning basically about the heat wave that is approaching. Now, a heat wave is when you have temperatures over a certain amount for 3 days or more. So in London, if you have temperatures over 28 degrees for 3 days or more, then that constitutes a heat wave. And we could see temperatures in London at least over 28 degrees for about 10 days. So this is a warning. Keep kids out of the hot sun between 11 and 3 o'clock. So schools perhaps are being told to keep children indoors and not have them running around in the 30-degree heat. This could mean in the last few days of school, cancelling sports days and any events that children may have as well. And this is because children simply won't be used to dealing with this kind of heat. But also, it's a warning for us to all take care of ourselves and take care of more vulnerable people, like our older neighbours or older relatives. Remind them to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water, 6 to 8, not 68, 6 to 8 glasses of water a day to make sure that they are hydrated. And it's not simply about us having a great time in the sun. We're simply not used to having this many heat waves or for this long in the UK, and it's gone from us enjoying the sun, having a day out in the park, to heat waves now potentially becoming dangerous. So look after ourselves, look after more vulnerable people. If it's too hot inside, seek shade outside in the cool, and everybody try and enjoy the sun the best they can, but while keeping healthy as well.
And put some sunscreen on. That's important as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so Thomas, we have a new Met chief. Let's have a look at the Express. Who is he?
So Mark Rowley stepped up as head of the Met, former counter-terrorism head of the unit, brought back from retirement. I don't envy the job in front of them. Viewers don't need to be reminded about the slew of scandals plagued the Met over the last number of years, so much so that it's been placed into special measures by the police watchdog in the last number of weeks. So Mark Rowley is a Met man through and through. He's been there for an extensive parts of his career. Reports last week came out about stats to do with just how far the Met has fallen in terms of the faith that ordinary Londoners have in it. Stats that are way out of line with other cities in the rest of the UK, indicating to experts at least that there's a significant degree of under-reporting. And that, I suppose, is the main challenge that will be greeting the new Met chief when he walks into the office, which is that you can institute all of these kind of structural reforms as much as you want, but the one thing that's really difficult to build and can evaporate very quickly is trust. And that's the really challenging part of the job that he has in front of him, how to restore trust, the Met credibility in the eyes of ordinary Londoners, so that they start to report crimes in the way that apparently they seem to be doing in other parts of the UK. I was watching an interview actually with him on the BBC there in April, and he was talking about how the Met needed drastic solutions. Easier said than done. He's been talking about stuff like more bobbies on the beat, more community policing. Again, much easier to say, much harder to implement in practice when you look at budget cuts and the new ways in which crime is affecting people. A lot of it is online. There's less of the kind of crime taking place in terms of bobbies on the beat might have disrupted that in years gone by. So a mountain's a climb, and I think a lot of people will remain sceptical until they see some really solid reforms on the table.
He really does have a job in front of him. Okay, let's look at The Guardian, Afia, and the story regarding Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner. They must be very relieved.
Yes, very, very relieved today, as they have both been cleared of breaking lockdown rules. So this is after pictures emerged of them having a beer and a takeaway curry while doing election campaigning. The gathering took place in April 2021 when we were under strict lockdown rules that people couldn't gather with more than a certain amount of people indoors. Now, this was investigated by Durham Police. Initially, they said they had no case to answer. They got further information in May, so they did investigate this case, but they said that this was a legitimate work event, and that in fact Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner did not break any lockdown rules. And Keir Starmer gave a televised address yesterday after this and said, he had really put his career on the line, because he said, and Angela Rayner said as well, that both of them would resign if they were given fines, if they were found guilty. That's what he said Boris Johnson should have done, but he didn't. And he also said, that we should acknowledge that people who make the rules can break the rules as well. So like you said, both Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner very, very relieved today that is behind them. Let's hope that the Labour Party can step it up a gear and give us a real opposition that we need.
Thomas, we've only got a couple of seconds, 20 seconds to respond to that.
Well, I think it was a huge gamble for Keir Starmer. I mean, he really did put his leadership of the Labour Party on the line, and it's paid off. He's come out of it looking more honest, probably more integrity. He had a very good press conference in which he expressed, who has just said it there, some of those vulnerabilities, admitting that he can make mistakes and he will make mistakes. I thought he did a press conference after.
I'll leave it there. Afia and Thomas, have a great weekend. Thank you both. Still to come here on Sky News Breakfast, we're going to be taking another look at the runners and riders hoping to replace Boris Johnson.